Scope creep is a very common phenomenon in the training industry. Oftentimes, even after the statement of work is signed and the project team has their initial kickoff meeting with the customer, oftentimes these projects kind of evolve.
It's very easy for creep to kind of work its way into the system, and it's usually through some management discretion where they feel that something needs to be emphasized. And then over time, over periods of years actually, we've seen this creep kind of accumulate. So what we do programmatically, we actually have, it's called a task list review we do every so many years. So we have to go back and look at all the tasks and reanalyze them just to make sure we haven't let that creep accumulate over time. It's a really good practice.
The expectations that clients have might not be in line with what they agreed to or what they purchased. They have a great system a systematic way of approaching this. They have statements of work that spell out what is a part of the project and sometimes specifically what is not. And they have to be pretty strict about adhering to that statement of work, but they have a document that says what's been paid for, what's in scope of the project, and what should be included. If it goes beyond that scope, which is common, that's fine. It can be done, but there's a change order that defines what's changing, how much extra work it's going to be, how much the extra travel or other costs there might be involved, and what it's going to cost the client.
One of the ways to manage scope creep is to use some of the project management tools, such as working with a project charter or statement of work, where you document the defined scope with the client or customer for the project and get agreement on it. And it's even best to manage it by getting signed off agreement on it. And there's a couple ways to manage it while you're in the project. If you're working in Agile, you have the advantage of, if you're a Scrum Master or work with a product owner, you can add those items to your backlog. And that way, it's recognized that it's something that the customer would like to do, but it goes into the general prioritization that comes up for a given quarterly planning meeting or sprint. So it works into the Agile process. If you're not working in Agile and you're working more in Waterfall and something comes up, I think it's best to acknowledge and ask more questions about the what and the why. So always, probe a little bit more. And then ask your team more about things like the impact to the project around time, around quality, around resources, around cost, so you can really understand.
Some of the lessons learned is you got to guard the front door. Management discretion items, don't let them go straight to development. Don't let them go straight into, well, we need this training and this is what we want it to look like. Say, okay, well, let's analyze for that training. Let's do the analysis and the design. Let's get the jobs, the skills, the knowledge that needs to be accomplished and get the SMEs involved. And then you can have that conversation.
I guess my best piece of advice would be to document everything. If you have it written down somewhere, if you have it in emails, if you have it in a central repository, that this is what you've agreed to do, this is what the team has agreed to do, then there's less chance of scope creep.
So to better manage scope creep on the front end of the project, I would suggest asking a lot of probing questions to better understand what the business need is, what the requirement, and flush out what the requirements are, and understand what the deliverable is going to be in the end.
Some of the key questions to ask during the sales process for a training type project would be, will your SMEs be dedicated for the entire project, or will you have different SMEs, subject matter experts, cycling on and off the project? Will you be providing any kind of templates for the instructor-led materials? Do you have, if it's an e-learning course, you want to ask them, do you have an e-learning course that you currently have that you want us to replicate, or one that you like using? And what did you like about it? What didn't you like about it? How would you like to see this new training different? So those are some key questions that, as an instructional designer, you should ask during the sales process.
I'd also say I'm not a big fan of shunning all scope creep. Sometimes scope creep can be a good thing if you renegotiate the scope. And a lot of times in the course of a project, you will find ways you could kill two birds with one stone. We're doing this, but we know that something related is going to be needed in the near future, and if we plan it correctly or think creatively, we could address both of those issues right now with this one project.